What?
I'm gonna get something to drink, and then I'll be back.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just wait for you, Simon. He didn't wait to hear if we said that was okay. He just left. I literally just started recording right now, just in time for him to do that. I'm just gonna let it go. I want this on the
Yeah.
record now.
Do we have the music queued up so I don't
I
forget to
have the
give Larry
music.
credit?
I have the music.
Sweet.
Do we just want to go? Just want to start?
Yeah, that'd be funny actually. Hey, everyone, welcome to another edition of your Secret Hideout podcast. You see myself here, Josh Roman, a very lovely man with the sexiest mustache in the world, Jordan Acosta, and the missing person in the room with a bunch of comic paraphernalia is Simon Yu. He'll show up very quickly. He's very prompt and punctual, so he'll be here with a cup of water and ready to go. But until that, we have a very exciting show for you guys today. I think today a lot of news happened, a lot of things are going on, and without further ado, Simon, take us away.
Hey, are we recording right now?
Yes.
Very professional, yes, we are, sir.
Josh was just having fun, practicing.
I thought-
before.
Yo, what's up, you guys? This is Simon. This is the Secret Hideout podcast. We're here.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
Where
save.
are we? Where are we right now? Am I talking about Women of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your segment.
Okay.
We're doing reviews. We're doing reviews.
Hey, so, Woman of Tomorrow. It's golly, man. I just feel so pressured. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right.
I mean, you wanted this. Actually, you asked for this
You're right.
segment
You're right.
specifically.
You read this
You're right.
like weeks ago.
I know.
Came out last year.
I just I was really prepping just to hear the intro first and getting into with it. But you know what? I'm here now. I'm ready to do it. I got to act professional.
All right.
Beginning scene. So I borrowed Jordan's copy of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I wanted to read it, not simply because of the goading of you guys, but also just curious to see why Jay Gunny wants to have this as his Supergirl movie. Or as
We're
the
not going to
DC
call him
movie.
Jay Gunny. He's not going to be called
James
Jay
Gunn.
Gunny.
I'm
if you
going to
ever
call
hear
him Jay
this-
Gunny.
No, you're not.
I
No,
am
you're
going to
not.
call him Jay Gunn. Fine,
you're
Jay
not.
Gunn. Okay, Jimmy G.
No.
Jimmy G. So, why does James Gunn want to make this into a film adaptation of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? I'm fully convinced that this is the right move. This is a phenomenal story. It's I won't spoil it for everyone. I do highly recommend people watch it, but in essence, it's
Watch it or read it?
I'm sorry, read it. Excuse
Okay.
me. But potentially
Hold
to
on,
watch
Simon.
it.
How long has this book been out? How long has it been out?
It's been a while. It's
Like
been a
a
while.
year.
I don't know exactly how long
It was
it's been.
published
Spoil
in
it.
yeah,
You could
early last year.
100% spoil it.
Okay. So I won't elaborate as I did with Ted Lasso, but basically the story is True Grit. The idea is that there's a girl whose father gets brutally murdered, and just murdered without any purpose or like for any reason whatsoever. But like she tries to find someone as a champion to kill the murderer of her father, and she chooses Supergirl. And Supergirl actually meets with this daughter because I guess she wants to drink and get drunk on her 21st birthday, and she can't do it on Earth because of her hypermetabolism due to her superpowers. So she goes to a planet with a red sun, and that's how they meet. But then they go across the universe to basically find this guy and punish him and meet justice for this little girl. And it's a phenomenal story, though. It's like the character development is phenomenal. The narration is phenomenal. It's narrated all around the girl, and I think her name is Rosie or
You already forgot.
I already forgot. But the names don't matter. But also, the dog Crypto, he's in it. And in the beginning, you think he's dead, and you're like hecka pissed off with this guy. So like the character development is phenomenal. Tom King does a really great job. In these 8 story in like these, it's a mini series, right? And so these 8 chapters, if you will, basically really showcase the kind of person Supergirl is and where she comes from, and the kind of and why she is a hero. And it's phenomenal. And it's not these major action moments that really tell you who these characters are. Like there's this one particular scene that I kind of like really drew into the story is Supergirl teaches the main character, Roxy. I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. But she teaches her how to wash her hands after going to the bathroom. And it's just like the sense of care that she has over just in everything in general. I was like, this is interesting to show, but at the same time, I was like, oh, okay. And then it just opens up more of the kind of person that Supergirl is. It's phenomenal. It's such a great story. It's a very good story. I highly recommend it. It's in essence an origin story for Supergirl because there's towards the conclusion of the story, there's a moment where you find out what happens to her because she actually experiences the destruction of Krypton, Supergirl. And she goes through that. And she goes through like trying her best with the rest of Krypton at that moment after Krypton was destroyed to try to fix it. And it fails. And she has to deal with that. And and you see in this story her persevering through that, and the sense of grit that this character has and this character goes through is absolutely incredible. So I do see why James Gunn wants to make a film out of this. I really think though it won't do it justice unless it's like a 4-hour movie, because there's so many components into this story that like in my mind, I was like, you got to add this. You got to add this. You got to add this. But then, like, I come to the point where it's just like, maybe it would be better, not so as a movie, but like as a show. You know what I'm saying? Because there are key moments, but you got to really draw it out to really get the oomph of the key moments and stuff. But highly recommend it. And thank you, Jordan, for letting me borrow it. And yes, this was a great read.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I forgive you for creasing the back cover.
Are you serious? Holy crap! I'm so sorry. I didn't even notice that.
I won't even charge you. I won't even charge you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Because I'm generous. I'm a generous person.
Thank you very much, Simon, for that great review on that book. I think everyone's excited to go pick it up now because of that review. Really appreciate that. I'm excited to go and get. What's the name of the book again? What's this book called?
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely gonna go get that tomorrow. Now,
I really sense sarcasm in your tone, but like I'm just gonna go with it and roll with it and just say yes. I highly agree with you, Joshua Roman. You definitely need to read it. And all our 5 viewers and subscribers, probably like 2 of which are folks speaking right now. We should all read it. We should all watch it. So, not watch it, but anyways, read it.
It's almost certainly true that yes, about 75% of our stats are just us.
I'm just a little confused about if I should watch it or read it. And if I want to watch it, how do I watch it, Simon?
You watch it through the magic of reading.
Okay, because you said watch a lot.
I know.
I was confused during this whole thing. I was like, is it like a visual book? Is it a audio?
It's like you're watching it through your imagination screen.
A motion book?
In 4K, high def.
Yeah, man. I'm super stoked, man. I can't wait to pick it up at my local store.
Again, twinge of sarcasm, but seriously.
No, man. No. I mean, you're right.
So then I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to it. So then next week, I'm expecting to see this in your ownership, in your hand. You don't have to read it. You don't have to read it. I'm just expecting you to own it. You know, next week. So
no, you're absolutely right, Simon. So Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
No other thoughts on this?
Dragons.
Gosh.
Well, we should all see Women of Tomorrow when it actually comes out as a movie, whenever that happens. Just kind of cutting through the interpersonal dynamics that are happening on this podcast right now. Don't let that dissuade you. It's a magnificent book. Anyway, Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, me and Simon saw this, and I did not expect much from it. I'll be honest. I actually did see the one that came out in, what was 2000? Was it?
Yeah.
Which was trying
Wayne
really
brothers, right?
hard to be the Phantom Menace. Like that had just come out and made $1 bajillion, and then they tried to like copy it, even though it's, to be honest, the Phantom Menace is not a good movie. But it made money, so they tried to copy it, and they somehow made a worse version of the Phantom Menace. Which, I mean, I'm sure many people didn't think was possible. So it's kind of an achievement. It's fascinating to watch. And then also, what was like 2 years before The Lord of the Rings, right? Because that was 2003. Yeah. So it's kind of bizarre. I went back and watched some scenes from it on like YouTube, and it's like, oh my God, it's even worse than I remember it being. Like in bad ways, like not even just like, oh, it's not well made. Like there's aspects of it that don't even make sense. It's a bad movie. They got a Wayans brother in that thing, dude.
They did, and he died. He dies in it,
and he dies
it's
dramatically.
horrible.
And it's funny because it's a Wayans brother, like right? Like Wayans, they're not supposed to die dramatically. That is not a thing that they do. It's not in their skill set to do that.
It was really out of place for sure.
Anyway, so yeah, I was shocked when I walked out of this movie and thought and genuinely felt that I could go watch it again immediately, because it's maybe the most, well, okay, it's not the most fun. John Wick 4 is a masterpiece, but it's the second most fun time I've had in a theater so far this year. It's going to be tough to beat. There will be other movies that are better, I'm sure, but I don't think they'll be as much fun as this one is. The cast is kind of perfect. Like it's a great cast, like a great ensemble, but also they're just perfectly cast in their roles. But also the writers of this, they did Game Night. If you haven't seen Game Night, go watch Game Night. It's become kind of a cult hit. I think it was underrated when it was released. It's got a similar vibe because, well, Game Night, Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I don't know. I was surprised. It's a good movie. It's kind of a great movie. I mean, I don't want to talk it up too much because, like, yeah, this is not, some like A+ cinema score masterpiece, but like this is a great franchise starter. And I kind of hope it makes enough money to justify them doing more, because I would really like to see more fun fantasy adventure stuff. Right? Like everyone's been trying to remake The Lord of the Rings for like 20 years, right? And trying to like out epic The Lord of the Rings, and like it's just, you can't do it, right? The Lord of the Rings is too highfalutin and fancy and serious and like literate, right? And I just wish people would make fun fantasy adventure movies and not try to like make every fantasy franchise into something that's about, every franchise does not need to be about the destruction of the world by some eldritch force that's going to consume all in darkness, right? This kind of is, but not really, because like it's a little bit more localized, I guess, to like this one kingdom. It's great. I don't know, Simon, I've been kind of like stringing it along, waiting for you to say something. So.
Okay. Well, I just was waiting to hear. I was just waiting to hear a pause so I could just,
No, you just interrupt me, Simon.
Okay. All right. I have to agree. I have to agree with Jordan. I think I probably approached it with expectations, but those expectations were not too high, but they were met because it is a fun movie. I enjoyed the world that they created. It's amazingly, the effects are done really well. Like I mean, I wouldn't compare it to Lord of the Rings effects, but like really? some of it is just like believable, and I was just like, wow,
some of it's pretty good, a lot of it's pretty dodgy.
Okay, fine, but more so than
there's some shots.
Let me just say this. I'm just gonna take a stab in the dark, but just from what have we heard from Quantum Mania, the fact that it sounds like that this film has better effects than Quantum Mania, I'm just hey,
It definitely looks
There you
better
go.
than Quantum. This looks better than most Marvel movies. It's a good looking movie,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
overall. Like, it's
Yep.
really well shot.
Right.
Production design is good. Costuming is good. It's all looking at it. Just some of the CG is like, okay, clearly this is not the best CG out there. But it doesn't look like super bad. But like, there's some shots I'm like, yeah, this is composited. And, you know, they're doing the best they can with what they have.
That's fair. That's fair. But like,
But it definitely
surprisingly,
does look better
yeah.
than, like a Marvel movie. Right?
As of
it doesn't
late,
look
yeah.
like sludge. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So I give it to them with that. I think the characters really worked well with each other. And the spirit of the game is definitely exemplified in this movie. So what do I mean by that? I feel that so each character that we have
Right.
has a particular role, and they don't go out of that role, and they work really well within it. And like, so for example, Michelle Rodriguez's character, her name's Holga. She's a barbarian, and in many ways, she has like a Drax kind of like deadpan, like always serious, does not take any sense of sarcasm
She doesn't
or
get
any
jokes,
like
you know.
hyper literal,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just hilarious, you know. And then there's this guy, I forgot the guy's name in the movie, but he's the paladin, and
Right. And he is the definition of holier than thou.
exactly,
in every way.
self-righteous. Not, I wouldn't even say self-righteous. He's just like he's
too
this
perfect.
good. He's perfect. That's
And you hate
exactly
him
right.
because
And
he's
like,
so good at everything.
yep, and everyone's so pissed off at him and so annoyed about it. You know, it was just
Well,
like it's yeah.
It's funny because
it
he's
works
better
great.
than everyone at everything, and then at some point he decides he's got to leave. He's like, "You have to do this on your own." I'm like, "Well, should we?" I feel like you
Right.
could do this, and it wouldn't even be that hard. And they just feel kind of bad because they're like, "No, this." But honestly, you are better than us and everything. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
Right, exactly.
but yeah,
And
he's great.
yeah, and then like so brief synopsis. It starts off with Chris Pine's character. Is that his name, Chris Pine?
Chris Pine. Yes. You
and
have it
he-
open on your screen right now. It says right there. It says
Oh
Chris
my gosh,
Pine.
it's not a good day, guys. Tuesdays are.
All
not
right,
good for
Simon,
me.
thank you very much for that intro to, just a review of the show. Jordan, like always, very elegant. Everything you're saying, to the point. Simon, keep on pushing forward, buddy.
I'll work on it.
Keep on trugging.
One day,
keep
one
on
day.
trugging.
Yeah, so we can wrap this up because it's not that deep. This is it's not. Look, it's a fun
Yeah,
movie. Go
no.
see it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
yeah.
else. Like, okay, so is this cinema? Maybe not. Not really. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Go see it.
Yeah.
Good casts, good scripts, really well paced, not too long. And I really want this to make enough money that they just keep making these because I think if they stick with this, maybe they have a bigger budget for the second one. The effects are stepped up a bit, right? This could be something, right? And I would also like to see Chris Pine get like a franchise because I feel like they keep starting him in franchises like Star Trek,
Right.
or Wonder Woman, and he's in like the one movie, the first one, and everyone likes it, and then the second one sucks, and it all just goes downhill after that. And I don't know why that keeps happening. I really want this to work out so we can just get a good Chris Pine-led franchise, and he can keep doing his thing because he's great in this. It's kind of like this role was made for him. If you played Dungeons and Dragons before, he's a bard, and Chris Pine was born to play a bard. He was born to prance around with a lute and sing and annoy people. So yeah, go see it.
Right. Thanks, guys. Great update. Review. Is this cinema? Perfect, guys. Simon Jordan, great tandem. Moving on.
Josh does
Oh,
not
sorry,
not
guys.
care for Dungeons and Dragons. I'm getting this feeling.
I do.
We've literally never talked about it, but I'm just going to make some assumptions right now.
Not one
I've
bit.
never talked about it. No.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch this because I heard a lot of good things about it prior.
Take your family. It's a family movie. Like
It is a
100%.
family movie.
Yeah.
There's the feels for sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We're set up to watch Mario tomorrow, so see
Oh,
how that
nice.
goes.
It's a Wednesday showing. That's
yeah,
a
man.
yeah. So
Yeah. All right. Next on the docket, we got word on the street, guys. What's the jive talk going on? Not too much going on here. just one little
Man,
thing.
way
But
to set it up, bro. That's what's up.
Don't get too excited,
but
guys, but we got to muddle through this. So
yeah, we're gonna get better.
buckle
I
in.
swear. I'm on like not a Benadryl, but I'm on some medication right now, guys. You know, I'm a little under the weather. And I'm here for you. I love this. This is what I live for you guys. Uh,
What
no, Zack Snyder's pulling out all the stops for his con, you guys, and
He needs to. I
he
think.
asked. He reportedly asked WB if he could get some of his Green Lantern footage to show there, and one of the things he's doing this for is for a benefit for a fundraiser, um, and so I think WB's like, yeah, go ahead, take what you got. The danger in that is, you know, I don't know what it is, but Snyder fans are nuts. They're just outright nuts, crazy people, dude. Um, and you know, give them an inch, they're gonna take everything you got. They're gonna take everything you got. They're squatters for sure. And so, um, Green Lantern, I know, is gonna be in James Gunn's. Is that how you say it? James Gunn's. James
Just
Gunn's.
just Jay Gunny, man.
How much Benadryl are
No,
you
dude,
on
I'm
right
not
now,
going to do that
Josh?
to him. I want him to watch and respect us at some point of our career, Simon. So, Mr. Gunn, if you're listening, I respect you and I respect your name and your family for giving you that name and the lineage that it carries going forward and what you plan on doing with that name. I respect you. With that said, uh, I don't know if James Gunn really wants this out there. Uh, you know, he has that uh, Green Lantern show coming out on HBO Max,
Hmm.
um, and you really don't want conflicting, you know, views like, oh, this one's better than that one. You know, because we're gonna do this. We are gonna do it, whether they like it or not. And Zack Snyder has a very heavy following that will love everything he does, kind of like how Simon likes everything Nolan does, no matter what. And our friend Jordan likes what's that guy's name that does Onion?
Rain Johnson. Rain
Crazy
Johnson.
Onion.
He does Onion.
Ray, Ray Johnson.
Rain Johnson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ray.
Ray Johnson. Yeah, Ray Johnson.
Ray J. Yeah.
Ray. Ah, yes, it's happening.
So yeah, this is interesting because it feels like Zack Snyder is turning into a cottage industry all on his own, right? Like there's just going to be this ongoing Zack Snyder content stream, I guess, for the rest of our lives now. And every time he releases, dude, I'm not even kidding. I decided to follow some Reddits and like DC, you know, movie Reddits. Dude, like 2 times a day, it'll be like, here's a new screenshot that Zack Snyder just released from like on the set of Justice League. And it's just like a picture of one of the actors in costume. Like it's not significant, but and then there's like, gets 5,000 likes. There's a bunch of comments like debating how they feel about the state of the DCU. And it's just like, dude, like they're done. Like you made the movies. What are you talking about now? What are we even this is just like concept art we're looking at. Like, why do we care about this? But yeah, you're right, man. He's developed this weird. I feel like they do it almost out of spite now. Like, do they even care about Zack Snyder or the Justice League, or is this just like they've committed to the cause? They don't want to admit that they're wrong. They devoted too much time and energy identifying themselves with this. Now they got to stick it out, right?
Right.
And they don't want to stop. So it's kind of funny.
I'm afraid this is going to get momentum, and Netflix will get this. Like, it seems so far fetched, but now as it's growing and people are wanting to see this, you know, because let's face it, the last Justice League he did, the Snyder-cut was a good. It was a good cut. It was good.
It was okay.
You know?
It was pretty. It was interesting. I don't know if I call it.
It was good. It wasn't the greatest, but it was good. It was better than the regular Justice League, and it gave us a bunch more content, like 3 hours more of what we didn't get, and it created this story and this world that whether we like it or not left it on a cliffhanger, you know.
Right.
So fans are nuts. Netflix, they're looking for new content. If they could create this Snyderverse, I think it's going to grow, man. I think it might catch momentum.
I mean, it all depends on how badly DC needs money, I guess.
I was thinking that.
Because
I was
I
thinking
don't think they're going to do it if they don't feel like they need it. And also, like, all we need is for James Gunn. I mean, you remember what James Gunn said about like Superman Legacy, right? Like when he went to DC, they immediately tried to give him Superman. He was like, "No, I don't.
Right.
Like, let me do the Suicide Squad first, right?" Which really supports kind of what he'd said elsewhere about how they would just hand IP out to people, right? And I think maybe this is just a case of like Gunn is kind of just managing an ongoing situation, right? He's got Matt Reeves over here with all this Batman stuff, right? He's got Zack Snyder over here with like his, I don't even want to say Justice, because like he's not making new movies, but like he's just his Justice League production stills franchise.
Lingering around, yeah. Lingering,
Right?
yeah.
And he doesn't, and like they're probably friends of his, and he doesn't want to like burn any bridges or anything. So he's just got to kind of thread a needle here of just like, well, we don't want to stop it from happening. And the Batman movies make money, and the Joker movie made money. Yeah, the
Joker
thing's still
movies
going.
too.
So he's just going to focus on making Superman Legacy as good as he possibly can, and hopefully it makes $1 billion, and then he's free and clear to just go with the DCU, right? And whatever happens to other stuff, it's not going to matter anymore because he's making money. I think that's probably where his head's at, if I'm guessing. James Gunn, if you ever see this, I apologize if I presume too much, because obviously, as Josh said repeatedly, we respect you, Mr. Gunn, and your entire lineage, your bloodline, from the past and the future, apparently.
Yep.
No, it's so weird that this has become a thing. That Zack Snyder, he just goes on Twitter and he's just like, here's a picture I took one day on the set, and people lose their minds. And it's just going to keep going forever. Zack Snyder's going to be like 70, right? And like some of us are probably going to have grandchildren by that point. He's still going to be doing this stuff. He's going to go into like comic book conventions and stuff and be like, here's some more pictures I had. He's probably got 1,000 freaking pictures in a closet. He's just going to like trickle these out for the rest of his life, and he will continue to be relevant until the day he dies. You know.
Well, I think he has a lot of followers from 300. He did 300, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think he has a lot of followers from 300. I think.
And he did Watchmen, so
Watchmen. That's right. That was a good one too.
And the Knights of Ga'Hoole, I think his best movie ever.
Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Guardians of Ga'Hoole. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Warrior owl knights that protect the oak tree.
That one was so bad, dude. I watched it.
Oh, no.
Bored the whole time.
No. Sam Neill's in it. Okay, there's nothing that Sam Neill makes that is horrible. All right,
Did he also do Spirit?
I'm gonna look up some Sam Neill movies. You guys keep talking.
Spirit. He did is it Spirit?
I don't think
it's like that Batman, that character.
Oh, okay, yes.
No,
I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. Yeah.
He did
Someone
not do
just took his style and did it.
No, that was
Rodriguez.
No, it wasn't. It kind of was. He produced it. It was what's his name? The guy who wrote Sin City, Dark Knight Returns.
Frank Miller.
Yeah. Frank Miller directed.
Frank Miller did his own movie.
He co-directed Sin City. Well, co-directed probably just means he was on set while Roberto Rodriguez did everything. And then I guess he decided he'd learned enough, and so he tried to direct The Spirit on his own. Which, if you've ever seen The Spirit, that's why it is the way it is.
So bad, dude.
It's so bad. I was watching that a little bit recently. Why was I watching? I forget why. Some clips on YouTube. I was like, God damn. That's another movie that was like even worse than I remember it was when I saw it when it first came out. Like just everything about it is so weird and disjointed and confusing. Yeah. And the cast in that movie is insane.
It's like, so good.
It's a good cast.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like, what is he doing? How did he get these people to come and do this terrible movie? Anyway, go continue.
Yeah. So good luck, Zack Snyder. I'm a fan of yours. Even Sucker Punch. I love Sucker Punch.
Oh, really?
Oh, I did. I really enjoyed it.
All right.
Okay, so you're one of those crazy fans who's encouraging him to.
No,
you even like his bad
I'm not
movies.
crazy. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all actresses. Let's be honest. Just kidding. It was a fun story. It did towards the it was a sad story. And anyways, we're not doing a review on that, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. If we're going to discuss the quality of Zack Snyder's filmography, this is going to be a long discussion.
He has some good ones, dude. He has some good ones.
Yeah, like the Guardians of Gahul.
See, you're being sarcastic, Simon. You're being sarcastic, and I don't appreciate it. Okay, I don't appreciate it.
I feel like actually that's the one movie Zack Snyder's made that Simon would unambiguously, without reservation, love, because it's.
I actually thought it was fine.
Yeah.
And then
Did you really? Is this the truth?
It's Redwall, but they fly, basically.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So that drew me in,
Right.
and then
And then you're like, it's not really Redwall. It's not at that.
No,
level.
it's not. It's definitely not. And it's just that's the thing, man. Like, I feel that Zack Snyder kind of like draws you in with these ideas, right, or these story. So this next up and coming project,
he makes stuff look really good.
Yes,
it draws you in, and then you watch it, and you're like, what is this?
Right.
There's nothing there.
There isn't. It's like this, yeah. But I mean, he brings a fan audience, right? And so I would imagine WB allowing him to have these deleted scenes. It's all yeah, we know he makes money for us, so it's like, okay. Well, there you go.
By the way, Simon, Sam Neill was in Jurassic World Dominion, which I mean we all know was in your top 10 list last year.
It was on 7. It was like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Classic.
So maybe you like it, but I got to be honest, I do not think that's a good movie. So yes, Sam Neill has been in a bad movie before.
It was a top 5, Jordan, of 2022. Top 5.
I don't think it was top 5.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
We only did top 5.
No, we did 10.
He got to 8. He got to 8.
We did 10.
But it wasn't. I don't think it was 8 though.
Maybe 7. Not gonna lie. So
you know what? When we get to the end of this year, I want to do an episode where we look back at our top 10 lists for 2022 and see what's held up. Like, is there anything on that list that we would still defend? You know,
that's good.
That we're still watching, still listening to, and I really want to hear, Simon. I really want to hear you defend Jurassic World Dominion after a year of mulling it over and considering and really thinking about it. Do you feel that deserved to be in your top 10?
Challenge accepted. That's
boy.
Okay. Well, let's wait 8 more months.
Remember, Jordan, he said that about Supergirl too, and he was not ready at all.
Wait, what? For what?
Supergirl.
All right, moving far along. We just left the streets, guys, and now we're here. I just messed that up, but you don't take my word for it. These are our opinions here on the latest news.
We got news. What's first on the news?
That's
all right.
Let's
start off with the big one, guys. And this is we're gonna see what Marvel does. But Jonathan Majors was arrested recently for assault, and man, I'm disappointed because. Not a Jonathan Majors. I'm just disappointed in the situation because I think even though Ant-Man wasn't a great movie, he was a very good
the only good part of it. According to every review I've read.
Right. And so the unfortunate part that I'm upset, it's going to get political now, right? So what are they going to do? What is Marvel going to do? Are they going to pull a WB and just let continue Majors to ride along and just kind of like how they did with Ezra Miller?
I mean that
and just let
that gets to the heart of why this is a problem for them, though, right? Because like Ezra, they're rebooting everything, and so like okay, we can make one more movie with him.
Yep.
And they can get away with that and then move on, but like they were setting up Jonathan Majors to be like at the very center of their entire story arc for the next few years.
Yep.
And I'm not sure how you get out of that, or, I mean, they're just gonna have to they're gonna give him so much money if they keep moving forward, And yeah, if this, well, actually, okay. So the better question is, we don't know all the facts yet, right? We don't know
Right.
what's really happened. We shouldn't make too many assumptions. But if it turns out that the accusations are true and Jonathan Majors, is guilty of what he's been accused of, it doesn't really matter whether they want to continue or not because they won't be able to, right?
Right.
And so then what do they? I think the better question here, and what's perhaps most relevant to our podcast, because this is a nerdy podcast for man children. What do you do? Like, what do you do? Like, we already saw them have to deal with one major disruption, right? When they lost their Black Panther, and
Right.
Coogler was able.
We've seen one mishandlement too.
Yeah.
How they mishandled James Gunn, right? His old tweets and stuff. They let him go, and then all of a sudden they brought him back. How does that justify things?
Right.
So we've seen them mishandle something. We've seen them handle something, I think, in an okay way.
So far, they're just waiting right now.
Right.
I think the question is how long can they do that realistically? How long can they just not do anything? Because they're going to have to start production on stuff and move forward. What do they do about that?
Yeah, they have to get facts, I think, before they just ran off emotion, and they have so much invested in this guy and the future of what they're doing. They have to wait to make sure no files have been press charges. There's no criminal charges against him. They have to wait this out to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Yeah, I think the most interesting question though is like, what do you do? What do they do if they end up losing Kang? Do they try to recast? Do they?
Well,
they have to. They have to
switch. Do you
There's
think
so much in
so?
their
They have
story.
to have Kang. You think?
There's so much in their story that they're building this on.
Yep.
They have to. They're gonna have to pull roadies. You know what I mean? And switch out.
Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle look
So
nothing
you're saying
alike.
they should just cast Don Cheadle as Kang? Is that what you're saying? Every time this happens, we'll just cast Don Cheadle until
that's the
like
good thing about a
5-10
Kang
years from
character.
now. 1/3 of the characters in the MCU is just Don Cheadle in different hats.
Right.
Sometimes he wears a
That's the
mustache or something. I'm Kang.
That's the funny thing about a Kang character, though. It could be, Jonathan Majors for the majority, and then there's a few that are just outright different,
Right.
like a Franklin Richards Kang, so
just,
they could pull it off if they
just
need
different
to.
actors.
They have the wiggle room to do that. But
do you think the whole Kang storyline has gotten enough interest behind it that anyone even really cares?
No, man. It's that my problem was, why is Ant-Man really introducing this guy?
Right.
I mean, why is Ant-Man like Ant-Man? Nowhere in other comic books, Ant-Man was never a focal point for Kang. It was always Iron Man,
Right.
or the Fantastic Four.
Right.
You use them for those big guys. Never Ant-Man. I think I get what they're trying to do, but it failed, and I think people it deflated everything. End credits look great. That was I'm looking forward to things like that, like the Kang,
right. Well, we got it. So he first shows up in Loki, and that got people excited. But then it was years, and there was nothing until Ant-Man. Right. He's going to be in Loki season 2. I think he's already shot all the scenes for that, and that's locked. So I don't think they can change that at this point. Right.
So we were assuming that this Kang is the main Kang, the
Right.
So that's what we were looking forward to.
Right.
And so seeing, a partial Kang or a variant Kang in Loki was great. It was fun. But we were expecting the main Kang here. And I was like, to see the main Kang lose to an Ant-Man, that kind of sucks. And knowing he wiped out nations, he wiped out people, like, it's going to be hard to come back from that.
Takes the wind out of the sails a little bit.
This guy's
really
supposed
does.
To be
scary, yeah. Well, Thanos was this like looming threat for like several movies. Here's the thing with Thanos, he showed up for like a minute in like every movie for a few years, and we basically just hearing, oh yeah, this guy's scary, right? We didn't see him do much, but like that also kind of added to like the mystique of like, well, this is a guy who just sits on a throne all day because he's already conquered like all these worlds and he's got all this power, yada yada yada. And yeah, with Kang, it feels like they haven't really established that at all.
Yeah. he just popped up in Loki,
Yeah.
But like you said, with Thanos, without Thanos being on screen, he was sending people places, and
Yeah.
these big baddies were even scared of Thanos, and that's kind of how you build that lore, right? They didn't do that with Kang at all. It was just like, here he is, he's psycho. he's, he's
Yeah.
go ahead,
That's a great point. I think what we have here, as you guys talk about it more, just a thought just dawned on me. What we're seeing with this Kang situation, this Kang project, is similar to basically what the DCEU did with Darkseid, right? There was no looming kind of like slow kind of idea that this is a maniacal being or nefarious. He's just, oh, here I am, and I'm
and the first
badass,
time we see him in the flesh, so to speak, is that flashback where he's defeated.
Right.
So not
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And but you're right, in that first arc of the MCU films, he was behind the scenes. And then finally when he comes out was basically Avengers Infinity War. That's when we actually
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians 2, yeah.
When he's floating in his chair.
What I'm saying is,
he doesn't do a lot, but that is the first time we see him talk. And,
you're right.
Yeah, interact.
But he doesn't do a lot. And he's still in that weird getup of his old school Infinity War costume, right? There was even a scene where in the first Avengers movie where the color of his skin was more purple than other. Anyways. Yeah. He was behind the scenes for majority of the time, and then we see Infinity War where he's actually a threat, and I was like, "Oh shoot!"
The first thing we see him do in Infinity War is beat up the Hulk and kill Loki.
Exactly.
Defeat.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So he's not just simply a guy who sits on a throne. He's actually he can brawl. He can pound for pound, punch for punch. Right.
Right.
Loki, I thought they introduced him well, and I was like, okay. And then you're right. It got after a few years, and then we see this, and it's like, oh, yeah.
That's the thing, is they introduce a different kind of villain. I mean, he's not going to beat anybody in a fight, but there's this threat to this guy where he's you can kill him, but it doesn't matter. He just keeps coming back, right? He's like this virus. And if they had reestablished that in subsequent shows,
yep,
then I think it would have helped. If other versions of him had appeared, even if he kept showing up and dying over and over again, it would still build that theme of this is a character. How do you defeat somebody who kind of knows everything about kind of the past and the future, and he knows how everything's going to end, and you can kill him, but there's an infinity of him, and he just keeps coming back, right? But they didn't really do that, did they? Right? They just waited several years, and then he shows up in Ant-Man, and yeah, you're right. This is supposed to be the biggest, baddest one. And Ant-Man defeats him. So, I guess the other ones shouldn't be too hard.
Right.
We can send in the junior Avengers or whatever they're going to be. They'll be fine.
Right.
They'll be fine. They can take him.
Dude, I'm so afraid that's actually going to be the setup. The junior, right? Yeah. The junior Avengers are basically, they'll take the mantle, but it's we're going to defeat the biggest, baddest baddie. Who's so much a million times worse than Thanos, and we did it. And it's oh man.
Meanwhile, all the adults are just just let him have this. Just it's good for them. It's good. Let them get a win. They're still young. They can get this under their belt.
There you go.
Before we have to fight Doctor Doom.
Right.
That's the other part. They're gonna squeeze this. They have to squeeze all of this into not a lot of time before Doctor Doom comes on the scene in some way. And I know that neither of these characters are particularly widely known outside of comic book fans, but I don't think there's any... They could have built Kang into an A-list villain, I think. They had everything they needed to do it. I wonder if it's too late now. And now that we know Doctor Doom is coming, and Doctor Doom, if you're a comic book nerd, that's the guy you've been waiting for 20 years. Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
And as soon as he's around, I don't know that anyone's really going to care about anyone else, and Kang or anyone, really.
Right.
And if they do a good job with him, immediately he's going to become, a pop culture mainstay, I think, right? If they do him right. So
they might have a big plan for Kang, but Kang will turn into a B-lister and actually work for Doctor. There's a comic book run, a very thick comic book run that leads into Secret Wars where Kang and Doctor Doom work together.
So I'm glad that you bring that up. And more and more, if this is the case, it's kind of crappy for this character because
Right.
like the setup seems like it was cool, but like we're supposed to see in like 7 years from now the Kang Wars or the Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars and all that. It sounds to me just by hearing the docket of movies that they're going to showcase, he's merely a mechanism. He's not really a formidable villain. Like he's setting up for the big thing at the end. That's all he's doing. And then Doom comes in and it's just like, oh no, he's better than this guy. And it's like, really? Because the whole, you know what I'm saying? And it's like the whole point of Secret Wars was Doom, Dr. Doom. So he's merely just like, that sucks. More I talk about it, it's like, dang, this is messed up.
They could have really done something here, something big.
Yeah.
And it might be too late to do that, regardless of what happens with Jonathan Majors, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I was actually gonna change the subject a little bit if you want to finish.
Yeah, because I think just real quick, they really need Jonathan Majors' character to set up Secret Wars. There's no other way to lead like these extra dimensional, being events without having his character. So he's either gonna work for Doctor Doom, or Doctor Doom's gonna kill him and take his abilities and be the new like Godhead thing that he becomes in the Secret Wars.
So this leads me to think a little bit about the Green Lantern show. So Gunn has sort of, when he made his big announcement, he said, like, first off, they're not going to put anything in production until they have a script, which means that hopefully they'll avoid these kind of weird misfires. I don't know what to call this really, but like, because here's the thing, I know for a fact, I don't know for a fact, that's not true, but I am highly confident that nobody inside Marvel was like, yeah, we want to put Kang in Ant-Man. That's going to be awesome, right? What happened is we got to move forward with Kang, and looking at the schedule and like budget and all, like he's going to have to go in Ant-Man. That's what we're going to do with Ant-Man. Otherwise, like we probably won't even make another Ant-Man movie or something, right? And that's how it turned out. And I have hope that Mr. Gunn will not put DC in that situation if they're planning things out a little bit more and really thinking through what they're doing. But also he said that in, the Green Lantern show, you're going to have two Green Lanterns being kind of buddy cops on Earth, uncovering some sort of, secret threat. And he didn't say what that was. The big rumor I've seen online a lot, and this might just be wishful thinking on my part, is that it's the center, right? That would be a really interesting direction to take things. That's based on literally nothing, to be honest, but that's what you're hanging on
to.
I would be thrilled if it were the center. And it's the kind of thing that James Gunn might do, honestly. It's going to be an alien invasion of some kind, right? It's got to be. It could be, Fourth World, it could be Darkseid, but I feel like the center would be the natural place to start, especially since that's what brings together the Justice League, right? In New Frontier, it would make sense, right? Yeah. But yeah, it does make me think about like how these things get planned out, how these sort of like massive shared universes work. I have it'll be interesting to see DC navigate this same situation. Like hopefully they've learned their lesson when it comes to like talent that can be a liability. And I don't know, maybe they'll do extensive background checks on everyone they pick for their starting roles.
I'm wondering, you probably have to right now. Yeah. Just like lesson learned here. Make
them sign like a vow of celibacy, take away their phones. They have to live in company housing.
So no joke. What you just described right now is the business model for K-pop and J-pop singers.
That's right.
They no
just
joke.
Live in a house together and.
Oh my gosh, it's trippy, right? It's just like, yeah, but it's just like the immense control, and like they add celibacy in their contract. You can't have a boyfriend.
Wait, they don't do that, like, really, do they?
They do, bro.
They
do.
They do. Oh my
they
god.
Do.
Okay, so I was joking, but apparently, apparently capitalism is capable of anything. Wow. Okay,
If
so
there's
then
a
yeah,
will,
they just gotta
way.
manage them like K-pop stars, I guess. Dude, that can't be legal. I mean, it can't be legal in the States, at least. I don't know about.
It's not. It's definitely not
Oh,
legal in the
okay.
States. But like, there's. Okay, now I don't know how explicit it is on the contract, but there's a lot of like implications. It's like, hey,
Okay,
it's
I'm
frowned
gonna look
upon
that
if you
up
do
because
A, B, and
I mean,
C.
look, I'm pretty sure that can't be legal, but also, like I said, I mean, those K-pop bands make millions and millions and millions of dollars. They make so much money, and when that much money is on the line, people will do incredible, insane things. So maybe,
Yep,
yeah, maybe someone tried it.
dude. I think you mentioned it. Long story. I'm sorry, just to interrupt. You mentioned like BTS. There's a draft in South Korea,
Right.
right? Or you have to do required military service in South Korea, and there's like a couple in the band in BTS that have to do their military service. And like I forgot what you said, but
Oh yeah, it's
it
going
would
to cost the
drop.
South Korean economy like $1
Yeah,
billion
yeah, yeah, yeah,
over the next 10
yeah.
years.
Exactly. It's just like it's crazy what this pop culture phenomena in Korea does to the GDP of Korea. It's just
Right.
amazing to me. Anyways, so yeah.
So anyway, yeah, like I'm interested to see how James Gunn handles this with DC. Like, hopefully we won't see the same kind of issue happen, right? Where where things kind of go haywire like this. And I do wonder if Gunn himself is going to structure things in such a way that if unexpected things do happen, they have like backup plans, right? This is the thing that gets done in TV a lot, by the way, is they write, they build casts and plots and things so that they have like backdoors that they can use. So if somebody quits the show or something, they can sort of pivot and handle it, right? And it's something that's been done in TV for decades, and maybe that's something they need to do for movies,
Right.
so that they don't have to reboot. Dude, they were so sure that they were going to build the next generation of Marvel movies around like Black Panther and Kang.
Yep.
And now
Yep.
they've, some of their biggest stars and a lot of their established stars, even the ones who are around after Infinity War, like their final movies are coming up, like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That's been a really solid franchise for them that's now ending. And it looks like they're probably going to kill some of them off. In fact, they almost certainly will, because a bunch of them probably don't want to do these movies anymore anyway. Yeah, it'll be an interesting few years to see how they navigate all that.
Yep. And how to transit. Yeah, you're right. I think that would be the great challenge for Feige and the MCU. Now, granted, maybe a lot of what we saw is due to just Feige being overstretched, and now with the whole changes that Iger did, and having him focus more on these projects, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I think we're good with this one.
Yeah. What's next on the wire for news today?
Let's go ahead and jump into Ryan Coogler. He's making some X-File.
Yeah.
He wants to renew and make X-Files.
Yeah.
And so I was a big fan of X-Files growing up. Jordan, I think you were too.
Huge fan of X-Files. Yeah.
So this is amazing news. Fox got acquired by Disney a couple years ago. And so, of course, with the rise of mystery and sci-fi and horror, let's bring back X-Files. Why not? And I don't know, Jordan. How do you feel about this this director?
I feel like I could not be more excited about this. I have to contain my excitement, or it might kill me.
The build-up, I felt it. I was like,
I'm not even kidding. Okay. So first things first, what is it with auteur African American directors wanting to like reboot sci-fi and horror shows, right? Because he did The Twilight Zone. Who was it?
Jordan Peele.
Peele. Like he and like he didn't have to do that. He's making movies. No. He's making money. He just really wanted to make The Twilight Zone. I didn't know Ryan Coogler was a fan of the X-Files. I guess he is.
I didn't either.
I mean, okay. You know what? It's actually maybe it's not that surprising, because I think it's easy to forget, especially for anyone. If somehow we get any listeners who are under the age of 30, man, if you weren't around in the 90s, you probably can't even comprehend how big of a phenomenon X-Files was. Like when it landed on TV for like no reason, it just suddenly became the most popular, like a weird horror sci-fi mystery show became the most popular show on TV for like 2 to 3 years. That was the shit. That's what everyone was talking about, right? It got popular enough that they made a big old summer blockbuster movie out of it, which wasn't very good, but it still made a lot of money, right? And it turned Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny into A-listers overnight. And they continued to have careers in film and television in different roles, ever since. And it made Gillian Anderson in a pantsuit somehow the definitive sex symbol of the 90s. Just standing there in a blazer. So that was a huge show. It was massive. And dude, there's probably 20 to 30 episodes that I would put up as some of the greatest, hours of television ever made. Right. There's a few duds. Overall, it's pretty good. And then there's a few that were just masterpieces. Right. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. They've tried to kind of restart it, but by restarting the original series, they did that revival where it was 6 episodes, I think, a little while back. One of the episodes was incredible. The rest were blah. They've tried to make other movies. They've been kind of blah. So I think it'll be interesting to see the premise, because it sounds like he wants to start with just a completely fresh story.
Right.
Because the old series also got really bogged down in its mythology, about the aliens and abductions and it.
Right.
Those were always the worst episodes, right? Where they tried to tell you some big complicated story. And it's just show us another monster. I don't care about this. Right? Dude, they had a really great episode about literally the monster was a guy who could squeeze through pipes and attack people through their toilets. But somehow that was television gold, right? So if he makes a new series and he takes the best from the original and builds off of that and he finds a good cast, yeah, I'm here for it. I can't wait to see this. I don't think Ryan Coogler's made a bad movie or a bad anything yet.
No.
So yeah, no, I'm excited.
Yeah, I remember X-Files. After X-Files came out, you got the Men in Black. People made jokes of stuff like that, And to be honest, Men in Black was more of a serious comic book than it was a joke,
Yeah.
And so I think X-Files started a lot because there was nothing like it back then. You had everyone. I don't know if you guys love my mom and my dad loved was it Unsolved Mysteries?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this was. You really didn't want to say it was an extraterrestrial or other things, but man, how do you explain this? Type thing. And I remember going to bed scared sometimes and being freaked out, and then watching the X-Files, and when it was whoa, wait, this is even crazier. You're telling me there's spirit stuff and there's aliens and this is even nuts. And so it really started something back then that we didn't have, and that I think people wanted, especially Star Wars nerds and all the people who play D&D and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Beyond, it was a transcender.
Beyond Unsolved Mysteries, if you had cable in the 90s, right, and you had History Channel, Sci-Fi Channel, they were
I was
always
poor. I did not have cable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my grandma worked for the cable company, so we got free cable.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, all the channels. Most of them were crap, but they had all the channels, all the ESPNs. But man, they were always showing documentaries about ghosts, Scottish haunted castles, El Chupacabra, right? They're always oh, this guy who lives on a ranch in South Texas, I saw the El Chupacabra, he ate my cows or something, right? And then they'd have some reenactment they made with a puppet and a really bad VHS camera or something, right?
That one, okay.
That was genuine popular genre of television, was real, paranormal mysteries. It eventually led to, what was that show, Ghost Hunters? That was the culmination of it, because that show got huge for no reason on Sci-Fi, where they would go into a haunted house and set up all these cameras and stuff, and then every 10 minutes, basically before every commercial, the music would start rising, right? And be oh my God, did you see that? And then you come back from commercial and oh, it was nothing.
Yeah. They really milked it for 5 or 6 seasons. Yeah. And then but one episode out of 30, something could have happened where it's just oh wait, what?
There'd be
what?
a one frozen frame from a video they had.
Yep.
It's like, look at this white spot.
Right. Exactly.
We can't
exactly.
explain it. Oh, man,
Crazy, right?
Those were the days.
Yeah. So we're for it. Simon, did you ever watch X-Files?
I didn't watch it regularly, but the episodes that I did watch, I still remember. Like, so going back to Chupacabras, the episode that the X-Files did on Chupacabras was crazy. Was absolutely crazy.
Right.
And but the one I remember also is Bruce Campbell, who plays a demon, but he wants a human child.
Yeah.
So he scares he scares his wives, and like just to see, but like every child was a demon child, and it's just like it was a crazy episode. But I was like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
X-Files, I see what you're doing here. Nice.
And by the way, got a name drop. One of the best shows on TV right now. It's called Evil, which is probably the closest thing to a successful revival of the X-Files we've had since.
Right.
And it is what you just described, Simon. That's very much in that vein of like, it's macabre humor. It's more about demons and the supernatural than about like sci-fi. But like, yeah, there's like storylines of like this a demon wants a baby or something. And like this woman thinks that she's pregnant with like a demon baby and she wants like an exorcism. Great show. Very funny and also horrifying at the same time. It's amazing. Everyone should watch it. So
No, thank you. I don't do horror.
Yeah, like Catholic priests are the actual Men in Black in Evil.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, literally. They have a Men in Black like secret organization.
Yeah, they have a secret Catholic exorcist organization.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Just walking Men in Black suits with suitcases
right.
walking around.
Seriously, man. So yeah, no.
That's hilarious.
I'm excited about this. This is great. Speaking of like auteur creatives, I'm waiting for Jordan Peele's Gargoyle show. I'm still waiting for it. I would love for that to actually happen, man. So
Are you hoping that
He's a
by
fan,
speaking
right?
about it here we can manifest it?
hey, man, I mean, like, wouldn't that be amazing to just add that to our just list of achievements? It's like we convinced the powers that be for Jordan Peele's Gargoyle show.
Do you think he's okay? First off, I mean, he's about our age, right? Do you think he saw Gargoyles as a kid?
I think I if I remember correctly, like in interviews, he's a hardcore fan. He was a hardcore fan. Yeah, he was a hardcore fan of the show. So
all right.
So yeah.
Well then.
So
yeah.
Jay Peele, we got your back.
Let's start tweeting him. Let's see what we can make it happen.
All right. Let's do it.
So let's push it to this week because we covered some stuff from last week. Big news for me. I grew up on Street Fighter. Huge fan of it. Legendary is picking up Street Fighter film rights and TV rights. I'm ecstatic, man. I think Legendary has their ups and their downs, but recently they hit a good stride when they were with WB, and their most recent one was Dune, and that's a hit. And they're going to continue with that franchise at WB, but going forward, they're going to start working with Sony, and Sony and Legendary acquiring this is huge. Even though Street Fighter has no great content for other than video games, I guess they had some cool anime I used to watch back in the day. Their anime was not bad, but their film, every single one they struck out. I think I enjoyed it when I was younger, but I knew it was cheesy. The Gaio, played by Van Damme, who doesn't speak a lick of English. And he's Gaia.
That is
Guile.
So look, I will agree it's not a good movie, but it's also an amazing movie because it has Raul Julia in maybe his most
last
iconic
film.
role.
Yeah.
Most iconic
Right.
and last film.
Just hamming it up, chewing up the scenery as only Raul Julia could in the biggest like shoulder pads any man has ever worn on screen
In the world. Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And he just did Adam's Family Reunion, and then he did Street Fighter. And if he just didn't do Street Fighter, he could have went off on a good note, but he did Street
Apparently
Fighter.
His kids want him to do it. They like Street Fighter, so he did it.
Well, he did for his kids. Good for him. But I mean, it was just everyone was casted fairly except Gaio, and I don't understand why. I really don't.
They needed. Here's the thing. That was the age of Hollywood when you still needed a bankable, or at least the producers all believed that you still needed a bankable action star for a movie. You couldn't just hire anybody. You couldn't just hire someone who's good for the role. You had to have a name, right? That's how they believed they were going to sell it, right? So that's what they were doing.
I'm pretty sure he was the only person that could do the
flash kick.
The flash kick.
That's it.
Yeah, I really feel that is exactly it.
A bunch of execs in the 90s in a boardroom be like, man, like we got to cast this guy Guile. What's he do? And they're like, well, my son plays the game and he does like this spin kick thing. Like, oh, well, Van Damme. All right.
It's a flash kick, Jordan. Don't say spin kick because that's Ryu and that's Kin's move. Okay, it's a tornado.
My kid's telling me it's actually called a flash kick. I'm sorry. I don't know what the difference is. I'm a middle-aged studio exec in the 90s, and I don't understand what video games are. Like, what do you think
Honestly,
I'm doing here, Josh?
I think Van Damme saved them probably $100,000 in just studio effects by being able to do that flash kick.
No, absolutely.
He paid for himself several times over.
He's like, hey, you guys, I could play American really well. I swear.
That's right. He's supposed to be American.
Yeah, Gaio is an American soldier.
He had a tattoo of the red, white, and blue on his massive
blonde. He had a
man.
blonde flat top, dude, the size of a top hat.
That's true.
And then here comes Van Damme saying, hey, you guys, I'm American. 100%. You cannot come to our country and invade us, okay? He's like... Was that a good Van Damme accent?
No, it was like really Scarface.
Yeah, I was trying to place that. Yeah, it's Scarface.
I tried.
The Cuban from Miami,
an Italian Cuban.
That's what he sounded. That was the closest thing he could come to sounding like American. Okay, I was playing Van Damme, playing an American.
Okay, all right, got it.
You gotta go back and watch because I feel like I was pretty spot on. I really do. But the rest of the cast was great. They had Honda, and I probably can't name any of these other people other than Chun-Li. Chun-Li was Min. I don't want to butcher it.
Oh my gosh, what's her name?
Is it Min Young?
I'm looking for it right now. So keep on talking.
Okay. All right, so
it wasn't the cast's fault that movie was the way it was.
No, it was not the cast. Dawson was in there. He played a great Dawson. I think you had all the right stuff. Yeah. It's just the writing was bad, and I think honestly, Van Damme probably wanted all the attention. He wanted to cut everyone's roles, so it was just him. And then you had to pay for the big villain, the big baddie, Bison himself, who was like a twig back then.
Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen.
Okay. Ming-Na Wen was in it. So.
She was Chun-Li.
Yeah, she was Chun-Li. And
I forget about that.
So the funny thing is they wanted to make it practical, so no one did their special at all. Right. Only Gaio and Bison.
But they also didn't do good practical martial arts.
Yeah. That's true. So Ryu and Ken both did their Hadouken without having like the pulse come out of it.
It was a up close.
Yeah.
And there was an LED light that shot out. Just like boop.
No, it was nothing. They just shoved him. Like boom.
Yep. Just a fancy shove.
That. Yeah. And I was like, what is that? What was that?
I mean, but like this is what they were all like in the 90s though, right? Like Mario, the 90s Mario movie, right? Where like
all but Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat
was
a great movie.
Mortal Kombat is beautiful, yeah.
That was a great movie.
I feel like with Mortal Kombat, it was almost made to be made into a movie like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you remember that first game? It wasn't. They weren't trying to take anything seriously here. This is literally just. It was custom made to be made into a cheesy 90s B movie. Yes. That's what that game was. So I think that's why it got through. I think that's why they were able to make it work. But everything else was trash, right? And it's because I don't know why. Because every video game adaptation in the 90s just got weird. They just decided we got to make this really, really weird and nothing like the game for some reason.
You know what? what was interesting with those 90s video game movies is they created a different story than what we were familiar with. So like the Mario movie, but like to make it edgier, grittier, I was like the Mario movie, the Mushroom Kingdom, it was overtaken by Koopa, but Koopa was like this capitalist, homicidal,
And the mushrooms are
Cyberpunk.
like actual living fungus that it's all
Right.
underground.
Like it's a hive mind, and then are these anyways, it's just it was just really weird.
It's
But like
Blade Runner.
yeah, they adapted it to make it look like Total Recall and stuff like that. I'm just like, I don't remember playing this game. What is this?
And Mario Brothers had like mech suits and like blasters.
Right, exactly. And so it's just like, and then like, a bomb is like this tiny nuclear explosive device, and stuff. Which was
so it's probably too late for them to do this, but man, what a great idea it would have been if for the release of the Super Mario Brothers movie. When is that? Like a week from now, 2 weeks from now?
No, it's actually tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
They released
Tonight,
a special
midnight.
update for Smash Brothers that added the 90s Mario and Luigi into that.
Oh
game.
my gosh.
That's something I've thought about
That'd
a
be
lot.
cool.
I would love to have those versions in the game so you could have them fight the real Mario and Luigi.
That'd actually be pretty choice.
If anyone at
that'd be
Nintendo
fun.
hears this, you get that one for free. Make it happen. I won't
Do
I
it.
won't I won't charge
That'd
you
be
for it.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Be amazing.
I would love that. So, Legendary, get it right. It's not hard to make a bunch of fighters. We don't want a story. We want fights. We want to see them do their Hadoukens.
Yeah.
We want to see the Yoga Flames. You know what I mean? We want to see the Flash Kicks. We wanna
Chad
see Cam-
Stahelski's free, guys.
Yeah.
He's free. He's taking a break from the John Wick universe.
There you go. Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah. We want to
get
see
him before
Cam.
James Gunn hires him to make Batman or something.
Oh, that would be so dope.
Dude,
Oh my gosh.
you cannot tell me that John Wick 4 isn't like a sizzle reel for like his Batman.
Oh my gosh.
application. Like sending that James Gunn like, hey, I made this movie. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? A lot of shadows. A lot of fighting, huh? Just thought you'd want to see it,
Have you seen it? It's kind of this like really independent indie film, that just 4 hours long, so.
Everyone's saying it's like the greatest action movie ever.
You still
but
haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's the best movie released so far this year. Probably going to be the best movie of the year, honestly.
We're gonna watch it. We plan on watching it.
It's amazing.
So once I get the income coming in, hey, I'm there.
Once you get your mortgage covered, you can.
Yeah, exactly. More Instacart, baby. Or no more OnlyFans, foot fetish. I have a very small group of people.
Hey, but they pay well, don't they?
But
They're
dedicated.
loyal. They're loyal.
I'm getting through.
Passionate
So
fan base.
grateful. Yeah, I've had the Zack Snyder fan base. So
Oh, really? You figured out how to get in with those guys? Yeah. It's lucrative. I mean, Zack Snyder's clearly he's just making money hand over foot, just giving him pictures.
to make his own con, when do you have time to make your own con?
for movies he's not even making anymore.
Yeah,
Dude,
what the heck, dude? When you think
that's
about
proof. That's proof of his loyal fan base, for sure.
Right.
I mean, it is,
sure,
but it's just like, who are these people?
Right.
What do they do all day?
Right. All right, moving far along. You guys may have noticed yesterday we had a buttload of trailers releasing, like trailers galore. We're gonna run down a quick list, and you guys tell me which ones you're more excited about. Which ones look like they popped? Which ones really lacking? So yesterday, Blue Beetle came out. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the official trailer, and Barbie. Am I missing anything else?
Those are the ones that I can think of at the moment.
Right.
So.
Well, let's start with Blue Beetle. Thank you, Simon. Blue Beetle, as a Hispanic Mexican man, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
No, it looked pretty good. I think they're going the humor route. I wish it was a little bit more serious. Whatever. George Lopez is in there. I really have a bitter taste left in my mouth because of recent events with him. There was this comic that I'm becoming a fan of, a really young kid, and George Lopez dissed him on a podcast recently. This young kid had nothing to do with George Lopez, and the mentor of the kid was kind of sticking up for him and saying, I want to be able to help and set a path for young
Oh,
comics.
okay.
And George Lopez was like, "Why? That's dumb. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, that's so dumb." Like, I was like, "No, I want to. Like, this is what I feel we need to do as older heads." And he goes, "You're wasting your time. Like, you don't have to do this." Like, and he's like, "Am I right? Like, who is this kid?" Kind of dissed him. So, a little upset. And some other news, like what he did to his wife. He took a kidney and then like cheated on her.
What?
He was dying. He needed a liver, and
Yikes.
Uh,
Okay, so you have some thoughts. I respect that. I respect
when
that.
I seen him in the trailer, I was like, oh, and it really left. And it's weird because I'm not really like that, but I was like, maybe because I'm a dad now and a family man, I'm like, I care about these things. But when I was 21, I'm like, I don't care. But now I kind of care. And it's weird. I know. I get
No,
it.
no, no. That's hey,
But
that's
other
fine.
than that, I think it looks funny. It looks great. It's like they're really doing the like Mexican family stick together type thing. Do it for us. So, yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
All right. So
Um,
Josh is not excited about it. It is what it is.
he's not excited about one component of it, but
Yeah.
it's the single uncle trope who has a mullet and like a giant beard.
That is a
and dog.
very accurate portrayal, by the way, of most Mexican families. There's always one of those. I'm not even joking. There's always one of those guys, one of those uncles.
Right. Claiming Batman is a fascist,
So I'm excited for this. Jaime Reyes is a great character. He's great in Young Justice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he is.
he's definitely underutilized. I wish they had done this sooner, honestly, because I do think this is potentially a better and more fruitful character to work with than a lot of the other more established kind of like younger characters that we've seen in Marvel and DC, right? Like, I'm not particularly excited about any of the younger Marvel characters, to be honest. It's not.
Right.
And even on DC side, like making Flash into kind of a younger character, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm fine with it, but also I don't think it's the best use of the Flash. I would rather it just be Barry Allen adult.
Right.
But Blue Beetle, well, we should note there's two Blue Beetles, and the trailer makes it look like both at least exist or did exist in the DCU.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Right.
Because remember, there's Ted Korg, who's the original Blue Beetle, and Ted Korg, Blue Beetle is actually just a ripoff of Batman, just like Green Arrow. Those were both characters that were ripoffs of Batman created by other publishers because Batman was popular, and then eventually those publishers got bought out by DC and they were incorporated into the DCU. But he's a Batman kind of character. He's runs his own company, makes a bunch of technology, and calls himself the Blue Beetle and flies around in this is flying beetle ship.
Okay. Okay.
He's who the what's his name in Watchmen is based on, the owl guy.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, all the Watchmen characters are ironic parodies of the Charlton comics characters. And Blue Beetle, the Question, right? These are all Charlton comics characters. And Jaime Reyes is this kid who finds the Scarab, which is a piece of like alien technology, right? So the story is that Ted Korg found the technology, but he never put the Scarab on. And what he did is he studied it and reverse engineered his technology to make all of his stuff, right? Reyes puts it on and then he can't get it off. What's most exciting to me about this, I mean, the movie looks pretty fun, so I hope it's good. But what's most exciting to me about this character, and I hope they keep him around after the reboot, is that in Batman, the Brave and the Bold, the cartoon series, which presumably they're taking some inspiration from, he is a really central supporting member of the cast. Batman kind of mentors him, and there's sort of this like, because Ted, so in the Brave and the Bold, Ted Korg is dead. He died on a mission that him and Batman were on at some point in the past, right? And so when Reyes gets the Scarab, Batman feels like responsible for mentoring him because Korg isn't around to help him, right? So he sort of trains him to control the Scarab. He gives him access to Korg's old hideout, right? All that stuff. And so you get like some of these interesting flashback episodes with Batman and the Blue Beetle back in like their heyday when they're like working together and fighting crime. And it is kind of interesting to see Batman like just be friends with somebody. Like there's this sense that like him and Cord, like they get each other in a way that like nobody else does, right? And then you get to see, Batman kind of like train Blue Beetle. It's not the typical like taking another orphan under his wing. Like Jaime Reyes is a well-adjusted young man who does not have any serious psychological issues like all the Robins do. And it's good world building. And so I hope we see some of that here. That's kind of what I'm the version of Batman that Gunn is going to give to us in The Brave and the Bold. And this version, like, is this something that they're going to build on? I really hope it is. Because this is a character that has a lot of potential. And in the trailer, I mean, we see them in what looks like the Blue Beetle's headquarters using the flying scarab thing. That was all stuff Ted Kord built. Which
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
If he's not in this movie, then that means, was he was around at some point in the past. Maybe he died or he retired or something. And they're taking, they're using his technology that was all based on the scarab, right? I'm kind of excited for this. I think it looks pretty fun. And I also like I do like the uncle calling Batman a fascist. So here's the thing, and I hope we see more of this. It's something James Gunn does in his movies, and I think he's good at, which is his characters have opinions and they have strong points of view and particular points of view. In the comics, this is a central theme with the Green Arrow, right? Where he's like a total, he's a socialist. He's like a hardcore Bernie bro. There's a famous comic panel where he's like ranting about how like all these billionaires, like they're fascists and they just want to like destroy the world. And she's like, but you're a billionaire. Does that mean you're a fascist? He's like, yes, I'm bad. I'm bad for society. Like he's like a genuinely conflicted guy who thinks that, he is inherently evil because he's rich and he can't spend his money fast enough to get rid of it all. And that leads to him having a lot of like these conflicts with Green Lantern and Batman, right? Like I'd like to see that. I like the idea that these characters have like ideologies, and I want to see those ideologies conflict. It's something we didn't see in the Snyderverse, right? Because like his Superman, his Batman, they were at odds, but not over what they believed, right? Like Batman just saw Superman as a threat, but like their worldviews were not really fundamentally different.
Right. Right.
But they should be, right? Like they really should be, because that's what makes it interesting. Batman should be more cynical and Superman should be, more idealistic. So yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yep. This was great. I didn't know that this was actually a project. So it was canned, just like other projects. So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think anything of it. And then I saw this trailer and I was really excited about it. And I like the fact that it's not a city in our world, like New York, or it's an actual city from the DC universe. Yes. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I love the suit. The suit reminds me, so there's an anime back in the day, and they made like a live action movie with Mark Hamill in it, but it's called The Guyver. And it's like this. Yeah. And so it's like this alien biomech suit that acts like a parasite. And his suit reminds me of that. And I was like, okay, this is dope. This is really cool. So I'm looking forward to this as well. I think this is going to be a fun movie. Very kind of in the same vein as Shazam. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting that feeling with it, But I really hope that Jaime Reyes will survive and go into the DCU, because all your talk about Batman mentoring him, I'm all for. I think that would be fantastic. I think this would be great. So
also, I like the actor, so I hope he gets to continue doing this.
Indeed.
Yeah, he is a good actor. And just a fun note that majority of the movie, he's in a practical suit.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's not CGI.
Really?
It looks like it. And
Hollywood
that's what
had given up on costuming superheroes entirely.
Dude,
I did too, but the suit looks great. And there's behind the scenes photos of him in his suit walking around.
That's dope.
It's all complete. There's no like green on there. So, and I gotta say, this last part, or the scene that we're seeing right now in the picture, where he draws that sword out, was very anime.
Oh my gosh, it was. Oh my gosh, it was,
dude. I
like
really
Hecka, Gundam Voltron. Like, I really hope they play with that. Like, I hope like we see scenes in the show where like he watches anime religiously or something like that, or like he watches it on YouTube.
not only is it cool, but that's also like that is such a perfect like depiction of a Gen Z
Right.
pros, right? Like that is like my brother's that age, and yeah, he's seen like like I watched anime on like Adult Swim and like
Right.
Cartoon Network, sure, but dude, like kids these days, they're saturated with that stuff growing up. They're watching it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
makes perfect sense that if he could make any weapon, he would make a big anime sword and he'd do a big anime pose with it. Of course, he
Right,
would.
exactly, dude. Exactly. So, oh man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait.
I looked up some
All
pictures of
right.
that suit, by the way, and it does look really good. It's you're
It
right.
does.
It's
Yeah.
it's a practical suit, and it looks exactly like it does in the trailers.
Yep.
Yep. And
That's
that's what
really
he wears
impressive.
majority of the movie. It's a full on suit and not probably the transformation, of course, CGI, but
I'm sure
I'm
like
really
the
impressed.
arms and stuff, right? Like they'll have to,
Right.
but, you know. All right.
But all right, that was a lot of time. That was a lot of time on Blue Beetle, and it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta move it along.
So Spider-Man, I think we've seen the teaser trailer. This trailer didn't really give us too much, but enough to be like, okay, I know where the story is going, kind of. What do you guys think?
And I'm on board.
I'm here
Let's
for
do
it.
this.
I'm here
Yep.
for it. Last one was great.
And
This one looks great. Cast looks great. Everything in the trailer
Right.
looks great. So
And we see the Tom Holland Spider-Man there. Is this an official, or is this another one of those flea market photos you got,
First
Simon,
of
like
all,
you did
first
last
of all,
time?
why are you bashing on a flea market photo? I don't know.
Because they're not real, and it's really misleading information for our listeners and watchers.
I don't know.
And you really take our credibility away when
Am
you
I
do
though?
that, you know?
Like I don't want to. I don't want to use it, and then like we get copyrighted for it.
credibility.
Right. You're right, Jordan. We at this point we don't have any.
We're
You
earning
forgetting
it.
us here, guys.
There was a fun little snippet, a fun little quote by Spider-Man 2099 that mentioned our Doctor Strange
Yeah.
in our universe
Hmm.
and the mistakes he's made with that Spider-Man. So that was cool. And the rumor going forward that Tom Holland, real life action Tom Holland appears in this movie, that'd be kind of funny.
Okay.
But
So the implication here, now let's just be clear, like they've already established that there's a multiverse and they're all different and they're different animation styles for different universes, but like the implication now is like no, these guys are able to access literally like everything we're aware of, they're aware of. Just all of everything, right? Which is weird and exciting at the same time, but also a little scary because like it's easy to see how that could be misused or overdone. So I'd be interested. The last movie did a really good job of leveraging the whole multiverse thing and introducing different versions of Spider-Man, making that fun without distracting or diluting the course story, right? So more like in other words, it's Morales' story, and it stays his story throughout the entire movie.
Right.
It never, unlike I think some of the like the live action Spider-Man, I think that did get to a point where like cameos, right?
right.
And this didn't feel like that. It's like this was his story, and our confusion and excitement at the concept of this multiverse is his confusion and excitement because like we're going with him as he sees these things. And the trailer gives me the same vibe. Like it's still, and so I hope it sticks to that because, and if they do, then this, this could be just as good, if not better than the first.
Right.
And I hope I know it's not going to make $1 billion, but man, I hope it does. The last one I think
Yes.
made like 360 million. So
That's incredible because I don't think they really promoted it. You know what I'm
No.
saying? And like I
Nope.
feel that they're putting more into this one because of the fact that those that watched it and made it so that they earned 360 million. It's like, yeah, no, we're telling our friends this is like, you
Right.
got to watch this
Yeah.
movie. This is a great
I mean,
Spider-Man.
if this can
movie.
get to like 400 or 500, it would be massive for an animated film. But
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
man, this if this is as good as it looks, I mean, it deserves to make all the money.
Yep.
But we'll see.
So
All right.
All right.
We're
All right.
we're all looking forward to it. Barbie, Simon's favorite. He's been talking about this since last summer when they announced it. Every week he's been bringing it up somehow. Uh, and so it's here now, Simon. Tell us what you really think.
I'm actually kind of like wanting to watch this movie because of the trailer. I actually thought, based off what when they first announced it and they had the stills and the pictures, like she's in Venice Beach acting like a Barbie, right? So I thought like this is a person who's like is
Right.
enamored as a Barbie
Right.
and
Yeah.
like in our world, kind of like how like they did back in the day with
Yeah.
the Brady Bunch movie,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're in the 70s, but like
Right.
in our time now, kind of thing. So that's what
Yeah.
I thought. No, this is something entirely different. I was just like, so it's like a universe of Barbies, and like I don't know how this is gonna pander out, and I'm curious to find out. I think Ryan Gosling was hilarious in the trailer. Simu Liu, and then just that dynamic, and like all the Barbies dynamic, all that is like, okay, this is actually interesting. And then freaking Will Ferrell's in it, so it's like, okay,
So, so this is where it gets weird, right? So the idea is they live in like, I was looking up on Wikipedia just to see if there's any information to make sense of it. So they live in Barbie land,
okay,
right? And apparently she gets kicked out for not being a perfect enough Barbie to live in Barbie land, and they have to go to the real world, right?
wow,
Which I assume
all
is
right.
what we let's assume that's what we saw where we see them on Venice Beach, right? Like in the
Okay,
real world.
okay.
Is Will Ferrell playing the same character he did in the Lego movie? In this
So
movie?
it looks like it. It
Ooh.
looks like it.
Yeah.
Like
Are they
but
building?
the
Is
Lego
Mattel is
version,
Mattel building a toy universe, a toy move cinematic universe?
who knows, man? But I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Like, what if? Yeah, because he really dresses up like the guy,
Yeah.
the Lego
Well,
villain.
it says he's so I don't know. I don't remember who he was in the Lego movie, but this one says he's the toy company CEO. It doesn't
So
say
yeah,
Mattel; it just says toy company.
yeah. Where the so there's the imagined version of his son, and his son portrays him as the villain, right? And like because he works all the time, he doesn't play with him anymore with Legos and stuff like that. But like his villain, the villain looks like this executive, right? With like, anyways.
Yeah.
So
At
when
the
you
end
say
of the
that,
movie,
it's
though,
like,
the point is we see him playing with the Legos in like their garage or something, and Will
Right.
Ferrell
Right.
comes in and it's his dad, and yada yada.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, my assumption here is that this is technically a sequel to the Lego movie, right? And so we saw the Legos kind of like take a step into the real world, a little bit. In this one, we're going to see Barbie enter the real world and go to the toy company that makes the
Well, there
Barbie
you go.
toys.
There
Because
you
there's
go.
other characters on her who are listed as working at a toy company, right? So something like that's going to happen, I guess. It doesn't really give any details.
Again, yeah. I'm curious to open this Pandora's box here.
But
So
yeah, I'm hyped. I love that scene in the trailer where he's like, he wants to go over to her house after the date.
yeah.
And she's like, why? And he's like, I think that's what boyfriends do. And she's like, well, to do what? And he's
What do we-
like, I don't know.
I don't even know.
And I just like, I love the idea that there's all these people just living in Barbie land. And they go through the motions and they ride around
Right.
on rollerblades and surf and stuff. And they don't understand what any of it is. They're just doing,
Yeah.
they're just doing this stuff. I'm super interested in this. It looks bananas. And I also, just the idea that you've got Ken and then like Asian Ken.
Yep. All these
And
different
there's like
Kens.
10 different Barbies, all different like races and professions and stuff and eras of Barbies. They're all Barbie.
And like I
Yeah.
guess Michael Cera's in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's Ken.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, what is going on here? So
This looks insane.
anyways, yeah, this is interesting.
I
So
can't wait.
I wouldn't mind seeing this.
Yeah, it looks funny. I'm down for it. Last but not least, guys, Disney man continues their layoff, and they did one huge one in their chairman, and it's a notable chairman at that. But not only that, Disney's just been in the news a lot lately for all the wrong reasons. Things that are going on in Disneyland parks, and so with that, Jordan, what are your takes on this?
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny. I'd totally forgotten about the news of them laying off. What's his name again? Perlmutter. Yeah, totally forgotten about that because the news about Disney World kind of like exploded and has continued to evolve over the last few days. But yeah, let's talk about Perlmutter. So what did I say when I was at Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead? Like, Perlmutter has been like this nefarious presence. Simon, if you Google Perlmutter Trump, there's a picture of him hanging out with like Donald Trump. And it's literally like the shadiest looking photo ever taken in his. It's insane. Like the two of them standing together. It looks like two guys it looks like supervillains. It's crazy. But yeah, Perlmutter, he bought Marvel. So for anyone who doesn't know, he actually like owned Marvel back in the day. And he was the one who chose to sell it to Disney. And that's why he's been around for so long, because like he's the reason Disney had Marvel at all, right? Tell me this is not the shadiest thing you've ever seen in your life.
It's a dark room, man. Come on now.
Anyway, so he's the reason that they even had Marvel. So that's kind of why I think he stuck around as long as he has. But there's that famous story. I mean, it's famous now, right? Where Feige kind of just got fed up with him, went behind his back and went directly to Iger and said, "Hey, I just want to report directly to you." And what they did is they split Marvel into this, the movie side and then everything else. And Feige ran the movie side, and Perlmutter got everything else, right? That meant that he owned all the TV shows, merchandise, and stuff like that.
Yeah, merchandise.
He was still in charge of like the Netflix stuff, right? And so what's happened since then is Feige took the movies to new heights, right? Culminating in Infinity War. Meanwhile, Perlmutter dragged the television shows down to ever deeper depths. Daredevil started out good and continued to be good, I guess. But yeah, everything they did after that just got worse and worse and worse until they got to Defenders, which was a disaster, right? Anyway, I think at this point he was only running merchandising. He wasn't even, because they stopped doing the shows entirely. They brought them all to Disney Plus, and it was under Feige, right? So he wasn't really doing much at this point. And the only activity he's been involved in at Disney, he had a friend of his, I forget the guy's name, but he had a friend of his like buy a bunch of the stock, and he was on the...
Right. He wanted a takeover. That's right.
He was trying to execute a hostile takeover of Disney with this friend of his. That fell flat when they brought back Iger, and that's not really happening anymore. So now he's gone. Thank God. So that's good news. It means that all of Marvel now falls under Feige. Well, all of Marvel falls under Feige. That may or may not be good news, because it seems like they've already stretched themselves pretty thin. I guess we'll see how that evolves. But it is closer to what they're doing at DC, right? Where like they don't have different divisions for different media. It's all just DC universe, right? So yeah, but let's move on from that, because there's even more dramatic news. Well, okay, so this is the story that, I mean, I am so endlessly fascinated by this story and how it's evolved. So Disney, and I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're the kind of person who already knows, but yeah, Disney, kind of spoke out against, Ron DeSantis' Don't Say Gay law that he passed in Florida a while back. And DeSantis, in his way, is there...
I'll figure it out. It out. I'm
I'm able to access it. Have you been just reading the Orlando Sentinel, Simon, for some reason, and you've run out of free articles?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the second. Yeah, it's just intriguing.
Okay.
I love the journalists at
well, while you're figuring that out, I'll just continue. But yeah, they Ron DeSantis basically passed a law. Well, he got the legislature to pass a law that took the power away from Disney to manage the Reedy Creek district. And it's basically an entire county in Florida. That's where Disney World is. And Disney controls it. For 50 years, they have essentially run their own county government. It's called the Reedy Creek Improvement District. It's got a board of supervisors who run it. And Disney would just appoint some of their people to run it every year, right? Which is kind of crazy, the fact that Disney just gets to run their own government. But they've been doing it for 50 years, and they are the biggest employer in Florida and by far the biggest taxpayer in Florida. And so Florida just kind of let them do it, because as long as you're making money, right, just go ahead and do what you want to do. And now they've got like 4 parks in there, a bunch of hotels, a couple water parks, all kinds of stuff, right?
Golf courses. Yep.
Yeah, golf courses. And they maintain all the infrastructure, all the roads. And it actually saves Florida a bunch of money, because they don't really have to pay for any of that, right? So when DeSantis took it over, he changed it. He changed the law. I forget, they renamed it to a different name. The Florida,
Orlando, the Central Florida, yeah, I forgot.
something businessy
Yeah.
sounding. And he changed the law so that he personally got to appoint the board. Right. Well, the governor, but he wants to be the governor forever. So he personally gets to appoint who's on that board now. And he appointed a bunch of like super far right extremists, right, to this board. And I think the goal there was basically he could use that board now to punish Disney if they stepped out of line again. Right. Well, it turns out that the day before this law went into effect, the Disney board in their last meeting, how do I explain this? They basically handed all the power for managing the land in the county from the board to the Disney Corporation again.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So when Desantis people came in, they found themselves powerless. They can't really do anything. All the power for like managing the land, who gets to decide what gets built, where, and all that stuff is now in Disney's hands entirely. And it's a huge embarrassment, right, for Desantis. It's interesting because at the time this happened, there was a lot of commentary about why Disney wasn't putting up more of a fight. Turns out that behind the scenes, they were doing this. They had all their lawyers putting together this insane agreement, and they just left it as a trap for Desantis to find on the first day they stepped in, right, for maximum drama, I guess. And the really crazy thing about this, so the Orlando Sentinel published a scathing op-ed, basically blaming Desantis for ruining the state at this point. And one of the interesting things about this is, so these are called covenants, and these covenants were put in place, and they don't expire, right? So these basically Disney has full control over this district until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England, living as of the date of this declaration.
What?
This is a real quote. These are the real words that are in the agreement.
Way.
I'm not even kidding. Disney's lawyers wrote these words and put them in there. What does that mean? Let's see. Who's the youngest descendant? It's what's her name? The daughter of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who lives here in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Okay.
So 21 years after she dies, in like 80 years.
Jeez, man.
Let's go back. I swear to God, they put this in here. Now, look, this is obviously insane. Like, this is not, like, why would you write this? And the only explanation anyone come up with is this is how Disney tells Ron DeSantis to go F himself, basically. Right. Like, this is lawyer speak for F you, flipping them the bird and basically like, what are you going to do now? Right. Like, we're Disney. We got money. We got like 500 lawyers. So obviously DeSantis has vowed he's going to fight this, but it's based on all the commentary I've read. It's not really clear what he can do. All of this is legal. He can try to, take this to court, and he's hired like 4 different law firms to try to fight this. I think I was telling you guys earlier, the most expensive of these charges $795 an hour. So he probably can't win. But as this plays out over the next few months, or however long it takes, a lot of lawyers are going to make a lot of money on both sides of this, and are probably going to buy some vacation homes and some yachts. I guess good for them. But this is ridiculous. Like, it's just so funny to me that this is happening. But it gets better, right? Because what I really did not expect, like, okay, so Disney has lawyers and they're sharks, right? Okay, we all everyone kind of knows that, right? Like, Disney is maybe the most litigious corporation that's ever existed. I did not expect Bob Iger himself to get involved in this. So on a recent earnings call, he went after DeSantis personally and said that he is anti-Florida and anti-business. And he would not be saying that unless he felt utterly confident that this was the right play for him, obviously, right? He's a CEO of Disney. People like that don't just say things without talking to like an entire group of advisors and lawyers, right? So clearly this is just the beginning of things. Like, Disney must have plans going forward. He did say that they are going to continue to invest in Florida. He gave a number somewhere. It was something like billions of dollars, right? Like, they're going to continue expanding in Disney World. And basically what he's saying is like, look, his argument here is like, look, DeSantis, like Florida, he's bad for you. He's wasting your time and money. But look, don't worry about it. We're going to keep giving you jobs. right? We're going to keep hiring you guys and investing money. And they're playing nice, basically, right? It's this is crazy, right? And the thing that's really crazy is that Desantis was like, I mean, him and Trump were kind of the front runners, right, for the Republican nomination for president. And now Trump, obviously, as we've all heard, what was it, 35 counts of falsifying documents, right? So now Trump and DeSantis are both tied up in legal shenanigans for who knows how long going into the next election. What this means is that what started out as like kind of a prissy little border spat between between the governor of Florida and the people who make Mickey Mouse cartoons, right, could now impact the outcome of the next presidential election of the United States of America. Just bask in that for a moment. Just the absurdity of this situation that is happening. I don't know. This is I love this. I love that this is happening. This is maybe the most American thing I can imagine ever happening in all of history. A giant corporation is going to war with a Republican governor over cartoons. Like it's amazing. And I hope this only reaches ever more spectacular heights of absurdity as it continues. I love this. I love this story. I love how it's just kept going and kept giving. I can't wait to see where it goes next.
It's amazing. Go ahead, Josh.
I love that you love this so much. You make this entertaining for me because honestly, if I was to read this on like surface level, like okay, I'm moving on. But your intrigue and your passion for this really drives it home for me, and I love it even more now.
I mean, it's incredible though, isn't it? Like,
it's a slick move, man. It's a slick move. Like this game is worthy of dramatization. I have to say, like, I don't know what.
I hope that 10 years from now, an indie film gets made in the vein of Air or The Big Short about this whole corporate drama, right? That I want to see that. I want to see the tense boardroom meetings and the lawyers arguing and swearing at each other, right?
Disney versus Florida. That'd be a great documentary film.
21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England, living as of the date of this declaration. Those are the words they put in that.
That's insane.
They wrote that. Actual 21st century corporate lawyers wrote those words, probably debated them.
I don't know if you guys ever watched this, but it was a show called Suits. And this reminds me of stuff like they would do on Suits.
Yeah.
It's an old like TBS lawyer
I remember that
show. And this reminds me of that, like the backside dealing and then
it's crazy.
Them just doing things to get back at each other because they don't like each other. Instead of like using the law, they're using it to like hurt each other. It's just freaking hilarious.
Just doing petty shit on a corporate scale. It's amazing.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, golly. So,
yeah.
So
we'll see.
where this
We'll
goes.
see. Yeah, we'll see what the next chapter holds, man. But what's funny is like, okay, so the first response from DeSantis was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, and it was a political ploy, right? Just to win more, just to win more of that group, right? But then I was like, okay, if you legitimately wanted to make the infrastructure better, why are you hiring these people to begin with, right? And so it's just like they have no experience whatsoever in that, and then now this is my question to you in your reading, Jordan, like what Disney did, could the board that DeSantis appointed looked into that before, or is that something that just like it's a business on them? They don't have to share that information to DeSantis or the government.
This was all public. So the meetings of this board are public. Anyone can go see them. They put them online.
So there you go.
Yeah, there was no reason for them to be surprised at this.
Okay.
And I guess maybe DeSantis just didn't think to send someone to the meeting to see what they were doing.
And it tells me more and more this was a political ploy. You know what I'm saying? It's just
yeah. Okay, look, this all started with DeSantis just throwing red meat to his base, right? I think that's all it was. I do think it's become more than that for him. And I think
Sure.
this is how he, honestly, I don't expect him to come out of this winning. Like, even if he technically wins this or that legal battle, I think he's kind of already lost. Because you know what's happened here is he's let it become personal for him.
Yeah.
Because he can't separate himself from his political ambitions, right? I think that's just a thing with authoritarians, right? Like, everything is personal to them, right? You see it with Trump a lot, right? Where like he makes no distinctions between himself and like the office he wants. Everything for him is personal. Everything for him is like a personal mano a mano fight. I think that's something that's happening right now with Desantis. Is even though it would be, honestly, he should have let this go. He should have let this go before it got this far. That would have been the smart move, but he's not going to, right? He's. I don't think it's in the personality of someone like him, because he wants to dominate. He wants to like be in charge of everything. So like, I think he's just going to I think Disney is going to rope-a-dope him into just like a massive political quagmire that he won't be able to get out of. And it's probably going to cost him the nomination that he clearly wants for president. It could even cost him his governorship. Right? There's other things happening in Florida that are pretty crazy that are completely unrelated to this. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard insurance rates in Florida are skyrocketing. They've gone up 60% over the last year. Well, yeah, because half the state's going to slide into the ocean over the next 50 years, right? So insurance companies are charging insane rates. And, you know, it's gotten to the point where it's no longer affordable, which was kind of Florida's whole thing, that they were affordable, right? Like, so I suspect that's how this is going to play out. Because, again, Disney has 500 lawyers, and they're the best lawyers in the world. And they probably got plans on plans on plans, you know, backup plans, plan A's, B's, and C's.
They have one singular focus, and you could tell from their writing of it, they had one singular focus. On the other side, DeSantis has so many things. He's overstretched, and so he definitely overlooked this. So
until recently, he was like traveling the country trying to drum up support for his presidential nomination. You know?
Exactly. Yep.
Dude, Disney lawyers probably. You know how you become a Disney lawyer? You have to be the kind of person who like you don't sleep at night because you're just thinking of new ways to like fuck people over, right? Like that's,
right.
That's what they do.
That's part of the requirements on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you don't mess with people like that.
Yeah, right. So, all right, slick on Disney. Mm-hmm. So,
well, guys, I think we could go on for another 4 hours on DeSantis and Disney, but I'm gonna stop us right here. I think we have to rest up and get ready for some more shenanigans this week. You guys too. Appreciate everything. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. What do you thought of the trailers? What do you think about the Disney scandal? Is it a scandal?
No.
Disney beef with the government?
Yeah.
That's what this is. That's what this is. Yeah.
Or just stop by and say hello. Let me know if I'm being too mean to Simon. I could pull it back a little bit.
You feel guilty right now?
I think two people would definitely hit it up. I'm like, nice.
Did we get comments from them?
He's such a lovely guy. Look at his face. So cute. Anyways, with that, guys, you guys don't have to go home, but you gotta get the hell out of here. Now play our outro music by J7.
Sorry, there's something wrong with the audio.
Okay, I thought it was playing. I was just like dancing.
No, no, there's just something wrong with the audio. Hold on a second.
Well, J7, you need to fix that. Don't be sending us bad
corrupted audio files.
All right,
MP3 files. It's ridiculous.
There it is.